What's up, guys? Wow, this intro. Why do I keep literally the 11th episode, and I'm already messing this up.
Nah. It's your page. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you want.
What's up, guys? I'm your host, Joe Lucy, and this is Eventually It All Connects. I'm here with a friend of mine, Karen.
Hi.
And you have to speak louder.
Oh, I gotta speak loud. I think maybe let me hold it like you. Would that be easier? All right. Mic check. Mic check.
And yeah, I was actually gonna, because I normally say where I met people, and I was gonna be like, oh, I met you at church, but I'm like, I did not meet you at church.
Yes, you did not meet me at church.
So we went to the same school together. And I don't think we were that close in school, though.
No, because we were a grade apart. Is it a grade or 2 grades?
It's a grade.
A grade, yeah.
Yeah.
We were a grade apart. Yeah.
But here we are today. I mean,
Here
church has made us closer, so.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
But yeah, so.
But I will say one thing I do remember about Joanne from high school is how long her hair was. Guys, this for as long as I've known this human being, she just has a ton of hair on her head, and somehow it keeps growing. I don't even understand. But anyways, I remember that from high school.
It's everyone was always envy about my hair. I'm like, you guys, it's not as great. Probably because I am the one that had it, so I'm like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you just keep quiet, Joanne. Keep quiet.
But yeah, so I have a question I normally start with every single podcast, and it is there a time in your life where you didn't know it then, but are now realizing that eventually it all connected to today?
I feel like everything in life is connected in one way or another. But I can say something that has been very significant in my life is discipleship, and basically that's just kind of like walking with somebody else through life and talking together and kind of just wanting to do life together, but of course in a way where you're both going towards growth. And to where that came from is the high school we went to, Hopac, is actually a Christian school, and I had somebody disciple me when I was in middle school into high school, and this lady has continued discipling me until today. And I look a lot of when I look at the ways in which I tend to form my close relationships and kind of just the way that I go about them, it's very much like a copy and paste of what this older lady would do with me when I was a child. So and I used to love it so much, and I used to think she was so cool. So I think, yeah, it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like she's put whatever it was that was in her kind of in me, and me wanting to kind of do it for somebody else as well. Yeah, but I enjoy kind of walking with people through like a journey of growth. Yeah.
So like you see her in you.
Yes, in a lot of ways, in even a lot of goofy ways. Even right now, the shirt that I'm wearing is from Young Life Camp, and she's also a leader at that. And even the way a lot of people will describe me by saying I'm very like childish and like goofy and loud, and she's all of those things, and she's like now in her 50s, I think, and I'm praying that when I'm in my 50s I still have that like
the energy.
Yes, very much so. Yeah,
It's nice.
yeah.
But yeah, so today's topic is change. I think I know for a fact it's something that I struggle with, because I have sort of the fear of unknown, and I don't like not knowing.
Yes, yeah. Everybody.
So when it comes to whether it's like moving to a new place, doing something new or whatever, sometimes I'm like, is this really for me?
Yeah.
Will this really work out?
Yep.
But yeah, so the question that I have for you, once it pops up, is do you naturally embrace change or resist it?
Um, Definitely resist. So okay, well, if it's good change, right? Like, I don't know, somebody, maybe I'm moving to a new place that I really, really like. I feel like it's easy to embrace change that you directly want. Um, but a lot of times, I feel like change, okay, at least in my life, more often than not, when I've noticed change, like been aware of it, it's been with regard to something that maybe I'm not particularly excited for or want to do, or a situation that I'd like to be in. And I think in those times I can become very resistant to it. But I remember like the transition from high school to university, I was very excited for that. But the transition from university to real life, hey,
Just like,
hey. I can't say I was all the way excited for that. So I would say for the most part, it's resist, especially because when it's, I feel like I only notice change a lot when it's harder to accept what's to come than when it's easier to just go along with it. Yeah.
Do you think like there's people that do embrace it, or do you like know anyone that's been like, yes, I'm embracing this change?
I think most older people that you meet embrace change. There's that whole thing about like as you get older you get wiser, or you become more mature. For the people of which that actually does happen, the way they talk about change in their life is very different to how I would say someone our age or someone even in ages below us will talk about change. So in the context of people who have been older than me, I would say, yeah, the way they talk about change is filled with like a knowledge and experience of I've been through a situation before, and so I can overcome it again. Yeah. But for people who are my peers or ages below me, no.
We're not doing that.
No, we're not. We're still like, what the hell is life?
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Actually, this has sort of reminded me of like, even with like speaking of like older people, because I think even some older people have that struggle with change. For instance, again, I love my grandma, but she's one of them. So she's the type of person that, I mean, because my mom and her siblings like grew up in Dar and whatnot, but obviously like after she retired, and she's been retired for a long time, she moved back to Marangu.
Yes.
And she's like lived there since.
Yes. Yeah.
And so with her, the thought of like that's like a familiar place to her. Like it's somewhere that's like safe for her, somewhere that's like, I know everything around this place. Yeah. So there's even times where like she would refuse to come back to Dar.
Yes. Actually, now that you've mentioned that, my grandmother does the same thing, to be fair. Yeah.
It's like, nope.
Yes. No, she's like, my home is my home. Anywhere else you're trying to take me, it's not my home.
No, this is not it. But like, she like legit hates Dar. Like even that time where she got like really sick and she like had to come and like do hospital and get like treated here. Yeah. She like hated it. She's like, I just want to go back home. Yeah. So I'm like, I think it just depends with the person. Yes. And what they're willing to do with that change. So it's like whether they resist it or like, you know what, this change is good for me, or I need this change. So I'm going to just take it as it is. Yeah. Because there's some changes, even to like, let's say, go biblically, there's some changes that you don't want to do, but God has like called you to. Yes. Because God is like, I'm not going to keep you in your comfort zone.
Yes, 100%.
I will take you out, whether you like it or not.
No, comfort zone, it's a dangerous place. It
is. So it's like, even with that, like changes in that way, it's like, I don't want to do this, but I'm being called to do it, or God is like, you kind of have to. You may not know why, but I have my reasons. Yeah. So in that sense, just like, okay, as much as I want to resist it, I also want to obey God.
Yes, 100%. And always like, that's definitely the option to always take. Where, especially when you know like it's coming from God, you definitely want to obey, just because whatever will be on the other side of it will be something something great.
Better.
Yeah, and better. But definitely. And now I was actually just thinking it would be so interesting to kind of do this same topic with somebody who's older, because now even mentioning in the context of your grandmother, it just occurred to me, like, I'm thinking of my grandmother, and I feel like so much has happened in the past, like, 40 years or maybe 50 years. And so definitely our generation has experienced a lot of change in different ways. But also for their generation, they've, like, experienced day and night, I feel like, in terms of just everything that's been changing in the world. And so it would be kind of interesting to actually sit with someone who's a bit more senior to ask them kind of like major change points in their life, especially like like in relation to also the changes that have been happening, like technologically, just infrastructure wise, or this and this and this and that. Like, our grandparents were alive before independence, all these different things. So they've also, to be fair, I can't even, like, fault them if they're like, I don't want to go anywhere, because I feel like they've dealt with so much already. Yeah. But
That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, you made me think of that.
It was interesting because I remember this one story. Because actually, there was this one time I'm just like, I thought about it, I'm just like, my grandma was literally alive before independence.
Yeah.
And not like also like a year or two before,
Yeah.
like literally years before independence.
Yeah.
And so I remember this one time I was asking her, I was just like, what was life before independence? Because I'm just like, obviously, like, I wasn't born that time, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And like she like told me how like she was like taught by was it the British people or was it the German, one of the colonizers?
Yes.
And like how life was like back then. And I think coming to realize, I'm like, that's probably where she kind of learned English from.
Yeah.
Not even thinking about it, because just like, how did, because like her parents, like, I don't know how much like they left the country, how much they traveled, but I'm like, I'd like to think that they didn't really do it as much.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes, I don't know if you like agree with that, if that makes any sense.
Like, oh yeah, definitely. Like the generation above her now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yo man.
They're like, we're not going anywhere else.
Cause like, I don't know when planes even were like a thing for.
But they had boats though.
Yes, they did have boats, and obviously they probably had planes. Cause like, how did the colonizers come? Or did they also come by boats?
Probably boats.
Anyways, I don't want to discuss history because I might be exposing myself. But yeah, but definitely the generation now above them. Woo, I feel like life probably was very like, it's like this, like this, like this, like this, and you're not really trying to venture out and explore different things. And I even feel like in terms of work, everything was very straightforward. Probably it's like farming, and then one or two something different.
Yeah, because like I think the one thing that helps sort of with, let's say, leaving the country or going out is you get exposure.
Yes.
So imagine back then, I'm like, okay, if they didn't leave, they didn't have that much exposure, unless their exposure was people coming to them.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just like, how would like even like learning English? First of all, it's like, how was learning English back then? Because obviously they didn't really understand.
Yeah. What was the in between situation?
Like, what's going on?
Did the colonizers know Swahili? Like, yeah.
So it's just like interesting to sort of think about. So like even with change, that's just going, like you said, going from that to the way the world is today. It's just like, what is going on? Like even to today, like I'm teaching my grandma how to use a smartphone.
Exactly.
Because she's like, I don't know this. I don't understand this.
Yes.
So it's like, what is going on? I'm just like, and it's really interesting because it's like something as simple as that, where you're just like, how do you not know this? This is,
you press the button.
It's just so simple. But then again, come to realize, like, she didn't even grow up with that. Not even didn't grow up with it. Even since we were little, she never had a smartphone. She always had those small torch phones. So she even like came to have a smartphone was like what, was it 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Like pretty recent.
Yes.
And that's only because of like WhatsApp, and she needed to be in
Yes.
WhatsApp and whatnot, and to be able to like talk to now, like let's say my brother that's abroad, like that's the only way she was able to talk to them.
Yeah.
Or like even other people abroad. So that's even why she's like, okay, I have to have this. But if it wasn't for that, she would have been like, nope. I don't want it. I'm good.
Take this thing away from me. Yeah.
I am good, because I keep even thinking about just like you hear some people. Well, I think this is more than the Western world, but you hear some people. It's like, oh yeah, my grandma has Instagram, my grandma has Facebook. I'm just like, my grandma doesn't even know how to use a smartphone, but okay.
But I will say, the funny thing about change is I think humans adapt very well. Because, so, I actually do have a grandma who's on TikTok. And shout out to you, grandma. But, like, she was in Dar a couple of months ago for some treatment. But while she was on the bed, just like at the end of the day, she's had her appointment, she's done. She was just on the bed there, like scrolling. And I was like,
What is going on? It's like, first of all, it's on your For You page.
Okay. It was a lot of like news. I'm telling you. I love how like all these algorithms and everything. Once you start on something, it just keeps sending you whatever you started on. It will just keep sending you. But
100%.
Yeah, from coming from a time where they didn't have smartphones or even cell phones or things like that, to now being able to get onto TikTok, it's very amazing how just over time humans have been able to adapt to the different change that like to a changing world. And yeah, we're very adaptable. Very adaptable species. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, it's really interesting because I feel like the world is like changing every single year. So like even like let's not even go as far as our grandmas. Let's see when I was growing up in the world now.
Yes. Yeah.
Completely, and I'm only 23. Completely different. It's just like, what?
Yeah. Very different. Very different.
It's crazy. But yeah, going with that question, what's the hardest part about letting go of something familiar?
I think it's in the word familiar. Whatever you're familiar with, you eventually kind of become comfortable with. And so it's hard to let go of your comfort and to let go of maybe a routine or to let go of habits that maybe even for a season or time kept you grounded. And sometimes when you're having to transition into something, maybe you're having to let go of something that's been a part of your identity for so long. And so that's what I would say is hard about it is I think we ultimately our identity is supposed to be in God. But I think as we journey through life, we also attach other parts of our identity based off of the things that surround us and the circumstances that find us. Like when I was in university, I held on to the fact that I was a university student. And when I had to transition out of that identity, no longer kind of holding on to the fact that I maybe had this university name behind me, while you're still figuring out the in-between space is hard. So, and of course, that can apply now to different contexts of life, but it's hard to let go of the thing that you're so familiar with, but also that you've potentially attached, who you are to, or rather part of your identity to. Yeah.
That makes sense. But yeah, it's all just the comfortability that I think that makes it sort of hard. So like, for instance, the one change that I've probably dealt with the most is again moving from here to the US.
Yeah.
Because I just going to a place that I didn't know at all. Like I've just seen in the movies and heard from other friends who are from the US.
Yeah.
But that was sort of scary for me in a sense because I've lived in Dar my entire life. I'm familiar with the place. I'm familiar with the people. Like I know everything, and it's just like, okay, like now I'm going to a place that I don't know.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think one of the things I'm like, thank goodness, like I had even before like I started school there, I had a friend that I met during the summer.
Yes.
That like her mom went to the same church as my aunt. So
Yeah.
like, she's like, oh, like my daughter's going in the same grade as your niece, so might as well just like
Make them
link
friends.
them up before school starts.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me do that. But even with that, I think it sort of helped because I went to the school knowing someone. Instead of like, I'm just starting a new school, I'm like, I don't know anyone. And the way I do not like being in public or in a place where I don't know people.
Yeah.
It's scary, but yeah. So that's one of the changes that I've had to experience. But I learned to adapt and I learned to sort of get used to the place and get used to the people and whatnot. So it was good.
Yeah.
Is it possible to grow without change?
The answer to that would be no. I do not think it's possible to grow without change. Simply because, I mean, let's take it as, like, let's use, like, even just days, right? If I stayed in this day forever, and I just kept repeating this day, there's nothing new that I would be learning, right? Because I'd be reliving my same experience. But if tomorrow a new obstacle or a new challenge comes my way, then I'm able to work through it. I'm a different person to who I was like the day before, you know. So change, it's not possible to grow without change. I think it's very vital, it's very key, because it opens the door to learning more about like ourselves and what we can do, and I think also brings us onto the journey of like discovering more of who we want to become, because it's like when you have a day and maybe there's a situation that happened and something didn't go as well as you liked, you know that the next time a situation like this comes along, I'll be able to be better at handling it. Yeah, so change is it's a beautiful thing, it's a thing to embrace, and we definitely would be some boring humans if we did not have change. We would be some stupid humans if we only stayed in grade 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need grade 1, 2, 3, we need all these different phases in life in order to grow, because with change comes like the opportunity to discover something new, to make it through something new, etc.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like one of the key examples that I also like using, because I love traveling and I'm a person that's whose bucket list is to travel to at least 50 countries before I'm 50.
Take your friends along with you. Yeah.
But yeah, so even with that, like I even look at, let's say, someone who sticks to the same country and even like same city that they live in, and they're like, I am not going anywhere, I'm just gonna stick here.
Yeah.
And someone who has, let's say, been to different parts of the world.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I mean, something as simple as traveling changes you.
It
like
does.
You have a whole new perspective.
It does.
On different things in life, because you get to see how other people live and how, like, what makes them happy. It's just like, wait, something that I thought that, oh, I need to have this to make me happy. Yeah. This person doesn't have, but they're still happy.
In fact, they don't even know about it, and like their life is great.
They're like content with how life is.
Yeah.
So it like kind of just builds you, and it makes you grow and makes you just see life in a whole different perspective.
100%.
And again, that's changed, because you're moving to like a different place, or you're going to a different place, a place that's not really familiar. So I mean, I've already done an episode on travel. You should go check that out. But like, that's why I'm like, I encourage people to travel. Yeah. Because that's one way you could grow, and one way you could change as a person.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so something just as simple
as
just seeing other, and it doesn't even have to be other, like abroad or just across. It's like could be a border country. Yes. Or nearby, because you'd be surprised. Like, okay, yeah, we're neighbors and country-wise, but
I would even argue it's like within the same region, right?
It's true.
Dar es Salaam is very different to, let's say, Sumbawanga. You know,
I don't even know what that is.
That's another region. You see? Now I'm sure if you go spend 2 weeks in Sumbawanga, by the time you come back to Dar, you appreciate Dar on a whole other level. But definitely, you're so right on that. Traveling, I think, is one of the things that just opens up our minds to so much and changes so much of our perspective on like life and how to do things, and really changes us as a person. And I think even with like growth, there are times that you are going through certain changes in your life where it's not so pleasant changes. Maybe it's changes in the form of, maybe, I don't know, potentially losing a loved one. It's changes maybe like you've lost a job. Maybe it's a change in that there's countries right now that are going through different what do you call it, natural disasters and things like that, where things are having to change overnight. And even then, we still grow through those experiences, even though 100% we wouldn't choose to grow in whatever we're going in that manner. But in every season of change, for the changes that you want to happen or are more exciting and things like that, it's easier to notice how you grow as a person. But for some of the harder changes in life, I think it's in hindsight that you kind of see how as a person you've grown through that experience in different ways. For some, maybe you come out of it trusting in God more. For some, you grow in patience. For some, you grow in your ability to like love and to have gratitude and contentment. So I think regardless of what your change looks like, whether it's the more exciting things or the more harder things, we grow in a different way through those seasons. Yeah.
Funny-ish story. So I'm from Bukoba.
Yeah.
And I've only been there twice my entire life.
Yeah.
And the last time I went there was in 2019, and I was only there for like 2 to 3 days. But it's just crazy because the last time I was there, I was like 2 years old.
Yeah.
According to my parents, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
But it was when my grandpa passed away, so I went there like for the funeral and whatnot. But yeah, so going back there in 2019, being an adult that can actually remember things and see things, has her own brain and whatnot. I don't know if that makes any sense. But yeah, so going there and seeing the way they lived, because it's like, it's not like, because I think especially people abroad, they imagine like villages like, oh my gosh, like mud huts and
lions on the loose.
And it's one of those things. It's like obviously like where they live, it's a modern house. It's a house that's like just like this. The only difference is that they live like in the suburbs of Bukoba, like not in the main city, so it's like even far from the main city, hence why it's like the village. And going there, both my like grandparents, my dad's side, passed away, and so the only person that's in that house is my grandma's sister. And so going there and seeing how they lived, and how like it's really interesting because like even their toilet and washroom is outside. As in like not like outside like just in the open, but like a whole different building. And then they still cook from them and whatnot. So it's just like, and they're like completely fine with it. I think for them it's just like, we don't even want to switch to gas or whatever. Like we're just like, we're good with this. So like going there and sort of experiencing that, and it was kind of worse and better, is that I had like zero network.
Then I understand where you guys' house is. It's remote.
Like no network. So I'm just like, now I have to find something to do.
Gotta
again
communicate.
Being in a place where I'm like, I don't know this place, and I've never been here. Not even don't know the place, I don't know the people, because the people I haven't seen in like ages. And so it's just very interesting to see how like they lived. And obviously like coming back from that, I think for me it took more of like, made me more like grateful for Dar. Because I'm just like, I'm in a place where there's network, there's internet, there's
A toilet
easy.
inside my house.
There's that, and there's like also easy access to places.
Yes.
Because for there, I'm like, okay, they probably do have like shops here and there, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, even like down the street,
Yes.
you don't get these shops.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to like go sort of far to even like let's say get your groceries or get
Yes.
what you need to get. So I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Everyday necessities.
so I'm just like, wow. So like just like coming back from that,
Yeah.
I just saw life in a different perspective.
Yes.
And also made me realize I'm just like, I don't think I can go live there. Which is okay, because I'm like, I'm not meant for that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not used to it. I didn't grow up in that sense. So obviously, if it's a
Yes.
place where you've never grown up, you're kind
Yes.
of like, I can't.
Yeah.
Unless circumstances and things happen where you kind of have to move there.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm just like, I just can't.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Like goes against everything that we've
That
been
I
raised
used
up
to-
with. Yeah. Yeah.
That is true, but I don't know, and I'm just like, okay, even let's say to add on to that, like my, I guess, grand aunt or whatever, she speaks Swahili, but even that is like she doesn't know that well because they speak their language, they speak
Their
Kihaya.
mother tongue.
So it's like,
yes.
okay, they know Swahili, but it's like, why would we learn Swahili
Yeah.
when we're here or when
Yeah.
we can? So I don't know if that makes any sense. Like
Yes,
that's how
no.
some tribes and
Yeah.
some people are.
Yeah.
Especially Hayas. We have a lot of stereotypes of us. But anyways, we're good people. Don't worry.
A lot of stereotypes, but
We're good people. So like just like I've even told myself, I'm like, yeah, if I spent like probably even not even a month, like 2 weeks in Bukoba,
Yeah.
like in that, I would literally be fluent in Haya. Because that's all
Yes.
they speak. Not even like,
yes.
again, they feel like it's much better. It's like Swahili, local Swahilis with like Swahili and English. Like I'm more
Yes.
comfortable speaking my language.
Yes.
So it's like speaking this other one is like a stretch.
Yes. Yeah. Makes sense.
A stretch for me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it was a very sort of humbling experience.
Yeah. No, it's a very humbling experience. Honestly, anytime you go outside of that, I feel like one way or another you're humbled in a way. Yeah.
But it helps. Yeah, it helps a lot because like even so, it's for me like again, my parents are from different places. So even the reasons why I was sort of like I'm not used to this in Bukoba is
Yes.
because I grew up going to Moshi or to Marangu.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like I only go there once or twice a year, but I'm familiar with the place because I've
Yes.
literally been there every single year for
Yeah.
the past probably 23 years of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's still sort of the village there, but it's like less of the village because it's more, I don't know if the word is developed.
It is. The northern tribes are, or rather regions, I think were a lot more, they started becoming developed earlier than I think elsewhere in the country.
Oh,
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it's like Marangu is also more developed in the sense of like network and whatever because Kilimanjaro, that's where
Yes.
most tourists go. So it's like we
Yes.
kind of have to be.
They had to. That's why I need that northern area.
It's like we have no choice.
They knew this is an area we need economically.
It's like it's a tourist destination, so we
Yeah.
can't be like, oh, we have no network here, oh, we have no Wi-Fi or internet here
Yes.
because tourists are going to come
Yeah.
and want that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that helped because I mean even with there, like a lot of even people there, like locals are very like traditional people. So if it wasn't
Yes.
for like tourists
Yeah.
going there, I feel like that place would have still been
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have.
I think so as well. I think that's the tendencies of like, I want to say everywhere, but definitely even in developing countries, a lot of resources go towards places that also contribute a lot more towards like the economy. Because yeah, I feel like even what they're doing in Zanzibar right now is
I was actually gonna say Zanzibar.
that's a lot. They're building like a whole nation out there, but it's nice. It's cool, but yeah, it's not all proportionate. Like all cities and regions don't grow at the same rate. There's usually I think a little bit more focus on areas that maybe are able to provide more jobs or benefit the economy a bit better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we've concluded that you cannot grow without change.
No, you can't. And
It's impossible.
We've gone to all sorts of directions, but yes, no.
You can't grow without change for sure.
Yeah. There's nothing new to learn.
There really isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, going more faith-wise, like, how do you know the difference between? I think this is something that people even struggling as Christians to sort of realize. But how do you know the difference between God shifting you and you just moving on your own?
At my young, tender age, I think I'm also still discovering that, to be fair. But I think a good place to start is I don't think things necessarily happen like in isolated forms. And what I mean by that, I think something like hearing from the Lord and, having discernment to discern that this is not of my own will, but of the Lord's will. I think it's something that takes time to develop. And I think something that at least I personally use is I'm able to check myself, like, how have I actually been this season of my life? Have I been invested in things of God, or have I been invested in things of my own? And I think a lot of times when it's been what's been driving my decisions or driving whatever has been coming directly from me and not me actually spending that time with the Lord to seek out from him if I should pursue something or shouldn't, or do something or not. That's how I'm able to differentiate. Is, have I been walking with the Lord? And I'm reminded of the verse that talks about how we, like, because if you look at the way, I don't know if we're also discussing this in Connect or church, but that sheep know their shepherd's voice. But the only way they get to know their shepherd's voice is because their shepherd has been speaking to them continuously, right? It's like it's a training thing. Even with babies and their mothers, the reason they're able to know, maybe differentiate their mother's voice to, I think it was Pastor Matrona who was sharing this, differentiate somebody else's voice to their mother's voice is because they've been around their parent or their mother, and so they become accustomed to it, they become familiar with it, and so they're able to recognize it. So I think a checker is just you kind of just evaluate, have I been walking with the Lord? Have I been pursuing him? Have I been pursuing his will for my life? Or have I more so been doing my own thing? And I think when you find that you've kind of just been going through the motions of being a Christian, just going to church, and doing the same old routine, but you're not really spending time in the Word, spending good time in prayer, maybe seeking out counsel from other wise people in the church and things like that, I think you're less likely to be walking in or pursuing something that is of the Lord's, and you're most likely doing your own thing and pursuing something that's your own. So I think, I don't know if it's a checker of your heart type of situation, but I would say you kind of check where you're at in your walk with the Lord. And I think if you've been diligent in that secret place, in that intimate place between you and the Lord, I would think that you are doing what he's
telling you to do.
What he's telling you to do.
I think there's one thing that I've sort of learned with that is when it's from the Lord, it gives you peace. Because that's who he is. He's God that gives you peace. So even like with changes and with things that I've had to do, I get mentioned this so many times with this podcast. I knew it was from the Lord because it gave me peace. Especially coming from someone who has bad anxiety. So I'm like, okay, I know this is from him because it's giving me peace. And I know that it's something that he wants me to do, and it's not me wanting to do it. Again, even with me wanting to do this, I did not want to do it. It's not me that wanted to do it. It was more of like, I just have to obey and listen to God and whatnot. So I think that's sort of one easy way to
Also check for that.
To check, it's like, okay, if it's giving me peace, then it's from him. If it's not, and I have like questions and doubts about it, then it's definitely me wanting to do it. But yeah, so sort of like short, trying to wrap this up sort of. What is one small step people can take today to embrace the change they're facing, even if they're uncomfortable?
I would say you just gotta embrace it. So change is inevitable. Our lives as human beings are constantly changing. If you're living a life without change, you're having a different life experience. So you just have to embrace it. And embracing it doesn't mean that each time you're excited or you're happy or you're grateful, you can be in the midst of change and you're maybe disappointed, you're hurt, having all sorts of emotions and questions. But I think our God is someone who's very gracious, and the Bible also tells us that his grace is sufficient for us, and he sympathizes with us. So there's never something that, at least when we're walking in obedience to him within the change, there's nothing that we could ever do like whereby it would be like wrong, if that makes sense. And so he sympathizes with us, and he gives us grace to go through changes in our life, also being fully aware that we're fully human. So we just have to embrace it, and because it's going to be something that's always present. Our lives are constantly changing.
You can't run away from it.
No.
Even you as a person, you change.
Yeah.
So it's like, whether you try to, it's like you can't. You can run, but you can't hide.
You can run, but you can't hide. But also, change at seasons of change or transition or things like that are seasons that draw us closer to God, because we have to now be dependent on him in a new way, right? And so that's just something else. It's to, I think, to encourage somebody is that that's our time to really seek God and to discover him within the context of the change that's taking place. And it will add a newness to your relationship with him for sure. And to you also just growing as a person and yeah.
And also the part where it's like embracing it even when it's uncomfortable, when you're uncomfortable. Take it from someone who does not like being uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm just like, okay, depending obviously on the situation and the circumstance, because there's some circumstance it's like, this uncomfortableness is saying something, and it's probably even dangerous. But it's good. Yes. It's one of those things where in the beginning it's like you feel like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to do this. But once you step into it, and get into it, after you get out of that, or after you sort of adapt to that, you'd be like, I am glad that I took this step of change
100%
to do this, or to get to be in a situation like this. And again, like you said, it does bring you closer to God, because it's like, okay, like I don't know what's going on, or I don't know what's happening, but you know what? Everything works better for his good, for his glory, his good, making sure I'm saying the Bible verse right. But so the Bible verses that I have, one of them is Hebrews 13 verse 8, and it says Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, which is one thing that is very comforting, at least to me. Is just like, okay, the world may change, we may change, but God never changes. The same person that he said that he was in the time of Moses and Abraham, he's literally the same till today.
100%.
So it's very comforting to like sort of know that the person I'm trusting in, and I'm depending in, like they won't just change and switch up and be a whole different different person. But
and also, like, God is the only one who doesn't change, right? Like, you could be going through something, but your friend group changes, maybe your situation at work changes, but in terms of people, the only person who remains the same regardless of whatever change we're going through in our lives, good or bad, is just God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like a crazy thing, and a wonderful thing as well, and just the mercy of God as well. But it's all because of his nature. Yeah, that he's never changing. Yeah.
And the other one is Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, and it says there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens.
I love that.
You're like, I know it.
It's actually one that I had saved.
No way.
I did have it saved. Guys, Yanni, change is constant. Like, I wish could we just read the whole thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is Ecclesiastes. I probably said that wrong, but 3 verses 1 to 8. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. So, man, if this is in the Bible, guys, if there's anyone out there who's thinking, maybe I just want my life to be this one cruise sailing on calm waters, there's no such
There's literally
thing.
there's no such thing
And
at all.
I would say that you are missing out on a key aspect of life if you're not experiencing the changes that come with life. Yeah, and I was listening to a message that spoke about like the importance of not praying away tough or hard seasons in our life or tough or hard changes in our life, because whether we want to accept it or not, even when I'm looking at my own life, I grow the most in my relation, low key. Not necessarily a good thing, but I grow a lot when I'm going through a transition that really needs me to be dependent on God.
Oh, 100%.
And so a part of our fellowship with God comes from embracing the different times and seasons and changes that come with life. Yeah. So it's not a thing to maybe pray away, wish away, not hope for, but it's a thing to embrace, as you were saying. And in embracing it, it's not supposed to look pretty all the time. No,
It's not.
there are times it looks ugly, but your trust needs to still be in God. Yeah.
Yep. Anyways, that is that.
Oh my gosh.
It's end of episode.
Oh my goodness.
You guys, one thing I love about Karen is when I do accents, she'll do it with
Man,
me.
accents for the win, yeah? Like, you
Sorry
have
if
to
you
be
offend
able,
any British people.
you have to be able to switch it up. But I love accents. I adore them. They make life
So
bright.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's much more exciting.
There's certain things that you can only convey depending on the accent that you're using. You get me? Hey, that's like a mix of different things. But
We're trying.
yeah, like certain things you can only properly convey depending on like the accent that you choose to use as well.
That's true. Anyways, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you as well, Joanne, for inviting me and for making room to have these conversations, especially from like a faith-based context as well.
Yep. I hope you guys learned. I'm definitely gonna have to. If you're watching, hopefully I have to change it somehow so you guys can see us.
We're still here. We are still here. I promise. Should I bring in the ghetto?
Just I don't think you still see it. I'm so sorry for the listeners. If you're listening, just go to the YouTube. You understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope you guys learned from this. I hope this helped you in a period, whether it's right now or that you're about to face that's of change. Hopefully it gives you some sort of knowledge or comfort knowing that you're not the only one that goes through change. You're not the only one that has to experience the not per se trauma, but like the sad part of it and the uncomfortability of it. But yeah, again, it's definitely something that I also need to work on, embracing change, because as much as I'm like,
same
I got it down, I've definitely done change, I've had this major change in my life, if I can do that I can do anything. No, there's still some other changes that I need to sort of embrace or get through. But yeah, so hopefully you guys got something from this. I hope you learned from her.
I hope you learned from us. This is a very, very lovely conversation.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Au revoir, au revoir, au revoir.